This boy is envied by all males for living with the 5 most beautiful girls in the world. Only the boy himself knows how miserable his life truly is. The boy's name is Arata. He's never had a girlfriend his entire life, all because of his 2 older sisters and 3 younger sisters. His youngest sister Katono can't reach her own back when bathing, so she always asks Arata to scrub it for her. From morning till night, Arata constantly sees these beautiful girls around him. As a result, his standards for romance have become impossibly high, and he becomes reluctant to pursue any real relationship. In addition, because Arata is a boy, he has to compromise every time he quarrels with his sisters. One day, Arata is chatting with his brother Shion, and he asks Shion for advice on how to get a girlfriend. At this moment, the 5 sisters appear together. The eldest sister Bonri has a humorous personality and often teases her younger siblings. The second sister Seiha thinks logically like a programmer. The third sister Uka suspects Arata of being perverted and corrupting Shion, always ordering her pet dog to punish him. The fourth sister Minami loves sports but frequently accidentally hurts Arata. The youngest Katono is extremely shy and rarely speaks. Arata tries hard to avoid his sisters, spending most of his time with Shion instead, but Uka never gives him that chance. Uka and Arata are fraternal twins, so they are both in their sophomore year of high school now. Uka often comes to Arata to borrow notes, and she actively helps Arata find a girlfriend in order to prevent Arata from having perverted thoughts about her sisters. During the chat, Uka learns that his friend Yokoyama is Arata's crush, and Uka plans to invite Yokoyama to hang out on the weekend. Arata asks her to mind her own business, and the two of them start to quarrel. At this moment, Katono is peeking at Arata's picture, with her cheeks turning red. The day of Katono's birthday arrives. Everyone dresses in formal attire, but the relaxed atmosphere soon shatters with the sound of an argument. Minami has lost Uka's Apple earphones. Uka becomes furious and declares she doesn't want a sister like Minami. Arata reminds them that they are all relatives and should not say such hurtful words to each other. Although they don't care much about Arata usually, his sisters still think of him as an older brother when he's serious. That's when Kaname, the father of these children, comes in. Next, Kaname announces a big news. The 7 children of this family are all adopted by him. Only Minami and Shion are fraternal twins here. The rest share no blood relation. This means the claim about Arata and Uka being twins was also a lie. The kids fall into heavy silence, with their faces unreadable. It takes Arata hours to process the shock. After he thinks about it for a long time, he finally believes what their foster father said. As their hair colors are completely different, they couldn't possibly all be related. The evening hangs heavy after Kaname leaves, and the 7 kids hold a family meeting. Bonri, adopted around age 4, has hazy memories of something special but keeps quiet without knowing why. Hours pass with them sitting in thick silence, all stewing in mixed feelings. At this moment, Uka is asking Shion about something that happened in the past. At that time, they accidentally saw Arata on top of Katono. No matter how they questioned him, Arata refused to explain. Shion is one of the few people who knows the truth, and he helps Arata clear up the misunderstanding. In fact, that day, Katono confessed to her brother Arata, and she was very emotional at the time. When Arata tried calming her down, they tripped. Arata takes the blame in silence because exposing the truth would have had a bad impact on Katono. After learning the truth, Uka becomes even more worried. Now that they're not blood-related, Katono is very likely to develop special feelings for Arata again. And sure enough, Katono does exactly what Uka predicted. Arata tries to calm down by taking a shower, but unexpectedly encounters Katono, who didn't lock the door. Arata decides to come back later, but Katono calls out to him, hoping her brother will help wash her back like before. Suddenly, Katono hugs Arata and confesses once again. Luckily, Arata has principles. He tells Katono teenagers often mix up respect and crushes. As her brother, he'll keep watching over her until the day she becomes a bride. Then, Arata rushes back to his room, only to find Seiha there as well. But something even more terrifying happens. Seiha pushes Arata onto the bed and presses her face against his chest. Arata panics, thinking Seiha likes him like Katono does, and cold sweat drips down his neck. But it's just a misunderstanding. It turns out Seiha had been heading to the bath earlier and overheard Katono's conversation with him. Seiha has always been rational. She thinks Katono has confused her affection for her brother with romantic feelings. To prevent Arata from developing any strange feelings for others, Seiha deliberately initiates a close physical contact to see if there's any flutter in his heart. But thankfully, Arata's heartbeat remains perfectly normal. However, Seiha doesn't let her guard down. She educates Arata about the dangers of marriage between close relatives. Arata feels quite helpless, not to mention that he doesn't have any strange thoughts about his sisters. Even if he did, there's no blood relation between them. After finally getting rid of Seiha, Arata falls into a state of insomnia. Fortunately, by morning, Arata notices that his sisters are acting completely normal. Bonri is still joking around. On his way to school, Arata encounters a few of his other sisters, and they also behave just like usual. It seems that Arata is the one most affected by everything. His mind is completely in a mess all day. After school, he runs into Minami. This athletic girl is very popular, and her fans often ask for pictures with her. Arata can't help but feel that he has less charm with girls than his sister does. But soon, Arata regains his confidence. Minami has great athletic talent but is absolutely terrible at math and ends up failing her exam. Arata takes her to a karaoke place to help her study, but Minami completely doesn't understand. After a short while, she starts singing instead. Arata is touched by his sister's optimism and decides not to pressure her to study anymore. As they are leaving, Arata notices that Yokoyama already has a boyfriend. Minami picks up on her brother's unusual behavior and, having heard from Uka that Arata has a crush on Yokoyama, she spends the entire way home trying to comfort him. Encouraged by his sister, Arata starts to feel less depressed. Minami is like the sun, warming her family. She brings cake to Uka and even finds the missing headphones, completely resolving the tension between them. Life seems to have returned to normal, as if they are no longer affected by the news their adoptive father announced. The only exception is Arata and Katono, who still feel a bit awkward when they're together. Whenever this happens, Seiha would appear like a ghost, reminding Arata not to have any indecent thoughts. Arata, in an attempt to avoid Seiha, goes to school, only to find Uka waiting to give him trouble. She urges Arata to confess his feelings to Yokoyama, but Arata refuses since Yokoyama already has a boyfriend. Just then, Uka is called away by a classmate who seems to have feelings for Arata. Flustered, Uka teasingly calls her brother a perv, and it seems she doesn't really want Arata to leave his single status after all. Soon, the weekend arrives, and Arata and his family head to the water park. Katono's birthday party had a tense atmosphere, so they have agreed to come to the water park for a make-up celebration. Bonri and Arata go to buy snacks, while the others promise to wait at the spot. When Arata returns, however, he finds that none of his family members are there. He tries calling them, but no one answers. Carrying all those snacks, Arata feels exhausted, while Bonri has a small appetite, leaving Arata to finish them all by himself. During these moments of being alone, Bonri always enjoys teasing her younger brother. With just a few ambiguous words, she can make Arata's face turn red. This is one of Arata's struggles. After all, he's at an age full of hormones, and it's not easy to suppress himself. Arata tries hard to stay calm, but in the end, he still gets distracted and trips. Fortunately, the two then start to experience the water park attractions, and Bonri finally stops teasing her brother, focusing instead on the fun activities. After Cheyenne and the others finish their activities, they find themselves unable to get in touch with Arata. They decide to temporarily give up on trying to contact him and instead focus on enjoying all the attractions the water park has to offer. On Arata's side, he finally gets a rare chance to be alone with Bonri. He's curious about what his sister thinks regarding the fact that they don't share a blood relationship. For others, it might not have as much of an impact, but Arata has already been affected by Katono's confession and Seiha's warning. He's troubled, but it's not something he feels comfortable telling Bonri. Bonri notices that her brother isn't in a good state and shares her thoughts with him. Even though they don't share a blood relation, she promises to protect him and their sisters. Bonri gently pats Arata's head, just like she did when they were kids. At that moment, a girl accidentally spills her drink on Bonri, and Arata immediately shields her with his body. This time, it's him protecting his sister. Bonri feels that Arata has matured, and during the rest of their time at the park, she can't help but take his hand. Later that night, the two groups finally reunite, while the two younger brothers and Katono are away at the restroom. Seiha takes the opportunity to tell the rest of the group about Katono's confession and the test she conducted on Arata. Uka hesitates for a moment, but then she reveals Katono's previous confession to the sisters as well. The situation is now very serious, and it leaves all four girls deeply troubled. Since Katono learned that she and Arata don't share a blood relationship, the suppressed feelings she has for him have resurfaced. They all agree to pretend they don't know about it for now, while observing Katono and searching for a way to resolve the situation. Here is the plot of episodes 1 to 3 of the anime, and Arata leaves a strong impression on me. Unlike typical harem protagonists chasing every girl in sight, he's different. Arata values this family, who are not related by blood, and he always sticks to his principles. As for the author's portrayal of the sisters, it's also very well done. They don't all fall for Arata. Bonri, as the eldest sister, carefully guards the bond between the family members. Seiha appears cold, but in reality, she has always been protecting Katono. They are all very young, yet they possess possess a sense of responsibility that is mature beyond their years, and each one of them has distinct characteristics. This makes me even more curious about the subsequent story. As the story progresses, whether Arata will continue to see the girls as family or if his feelings will eventually evolve beyond family and develop into something romantic. Alright, that's all for today's anime recap. If you want to know what happens next in this anime, leave a continue in the comments. Based on your comments, I'll decide whether to keep making content on the following episodes. If you also enjoy this kind of fantasy anime, feel free to leave a comment as well, and I'll pick some to recap. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.